Thank you all for joining. We will give folks just a minute to gather before we kick things off. All right, Julius, we're at 11:01, and I know you have quite a few slides to get to, so I think we'll kick things off. Thank you all for joining us as Copilot and as Microsoft keeps evolving their Copilot product. We hope to have these almost on a monthly cadence to keep everyone up to date of all the new features and functionality that are coming down the pike. But we're also here to answer any questions you have. As all of you know, anyone who's familiar with ECI, Julius is our resident Microsoft expert. We love having him for these kind of gatherings, and we hope that you will use the Q&A feature. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have regarding Copilot or the new releases or the new features or functions that are coming out. We have chat disabled, but our QA will try to answer in the middle in the flow of conversation. Just a quick note for anyone. We all love AI, but sometimes having multiple platforms can crash into each other. We will have all of this summarized in a notes package sent out to all of you following the event. So please feel free to follow along, listen. But I don't know that all of AI note takers will be allowed. They should be disabled as they come in. With all of that, I will turn this over to my friend Julius Damato here from ECI, who is, as I said, our resident Microsoft expert and the Copilot king himself. Julius, over to you.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think anybody would say they're Copilot king. But hello, everybody. Thanks again for your time. I know middle of the week is also an adventure to join at 10 o'clock for me, 11 o'clock for most of you, or wherever time zone you're in. As Jen mentioned, I'm Julius Damato. I'm Director of Microsoft Modern Workplace and AI Solutions. If you're interested in connecting at any point, feel free. LinkedIn code is there. They'll take you to my profile. Feel free to send me a request. Happy to chat through there as well if you're interested or have further questions. You can also send me an email because that works too. So let's talk about a lot of the changes that have rolled out. Some of you may have seen them, some of you may have not. If you're new to Copilot, this is going to be a crash course, so I apologize. But a lot has changed, and Microsoft is making very clear strides in their eyes and in a lot of the tech space in what Copilot can do, what it can't do, and it does continue to evolve. For those who are unfamiliar, there will be a link in this presentation. You'll get a copy of it as well that takes you to the release notes. Microsoft makes changes to Copilot on a weekly basis. So if you see something there that you like, it most likely will stay there unless it says Frontier, but we'll cover some of that today. There will also be some snippets of information that are not on slides, so that's really to make sure you are all paying attention. So make sure that you are taking notes so that you can pass the test at the end of the course. So let's get rolling. So Copilot is really becoming the UI for AI. That's Microsoft's big pitch for it, and that becomes more apparent with how they're doing a lot of the integration, bringing a lot of forward momentum in the experience for end users and for admins. So started last week around Monday when Microsoft Build started. They did start rolling out the new interface for the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. So if you have the app, you may have seen that change. That is a slow roll across tenants. Good example is all of my consultants that work under me all have the new app. I do not. So it is a fun time and a fun adventure. Importantly is if you have a bunch of Copilot Plus PCs rolled out to your organization, a great part is now the Copilot button and the Windows C button will actually bring up the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. So if you were someone who wanted that button to work and it stopped working, rejoice, it will function again. So a lot of what's happened with the interface, as you see kind of in that video that's rolling through, is they're really dividing up kind of the experience and sorting it through there. So there will be a Copilot Search, which I'll cover a little bit. Chat is broken up to show you your agents, your chats, your pages, and any of the canned or built-in Microsoft agents that are available or that you build. and then you have your notebooks followed by create and apps. So I'll cover a little bit about those as we get through the rest of the slides, but important to note is search will be Copilot powered, will be functional there. Notebooks will have information that is built for you. We'll cover that when we get to that section. And then there is the agent store that Microsoft is offering to customers that you can purchase or use the free agents that are available from Microsoft or from third-party custom vendors as well. But you do have control over that as well. Importantly, as well as with that change to the Microsoft 365 app on Windows and macOS, you will see that change on your mobile experience as well. So ideally, if you're using Copilot, you're also pushing the Microsoft 365 Copilot app to end users. You'd be surprised how many people aren't, so you should go do that if you're not doing that today. But that same experience will be coming over. All the modules that I've talked about before will be folding into the app over the next coming months. And importantly, you'll get the option for Create there. That will be replacing Visual Designer for those who are familiar with that agent. And then navigation is going to be more mobile-centric, bringing it down to the bottom to be more in line with a lot of the other Microsoft products that exist on mobile devices. Copilot Search is a big thing. So they are taking what is known as the Microsoft 365 Search and Intelligence Index. You're going to hear me say Microsoft 365 a lot, so strap in. They're taking that and adding Copilot on top of that finally, and really allowing you to integrate Copilot Search and its summarization features directly in the line where users are working on a day-to-day basis. So when you start searching, it'll automatically start summarizing the search result that you put in to Copilot Search, and it will be powered through all of the connectors you have via the Microsoft Graph. Importantly with that, they are integrating significantly more with the Search and Intelligence Index. Microsoft is committed to adjusting that. So today, for those who are setting up anything via Graph or anything via the Search and Intelligence Index, you have to do an OAuth connector. It makes doing stuff with ServiceNow or Confluence or Jira kind of a pain. Microsoft is striding to change that experience, make it much more simpler, having predefined content tables and variables there to make it easier for that information to be hydrated in the graph. So what that all means is they're simplifying that experience. They're committed to adding 150 new connectors by the end of Q3. So we'll see a lot more app integration that'll be native there, and that really enables you to search across your enterprise. So whether you have data in Microsoft 365, as I mentioned, Jira, if you have stuff in Confluence, Google Drive, if you have your Dropbox or Box, SSO, things like that, really bringing that all into one place, and importantly, Copilot Search enabling it out of the gate. I will mention, as I should have said this on the other slide, if you're not using Microsoft 365 Copilot, you will see an app change to the Microsoft 365 Copilot app for your Entra ID only Copilot enabled users. So that's a web version of Copilot. Interface will look kind of the same, but a lot of the features won't be in the sidebars on the left. Last to mention on this slide, as you probably are all seeing, is the option there for memory and personalization. So you do have the ability to have Copilot have memories, air quote, and be more personalized for you. That was a big feature that a lot of people were asking for. That starts to roll out by the end of June. So you should see that as an option for people that are in preview in the product space. The new create option is great for those of you who are looking to get new ideas with your graphics design or create new content. So we'll be using ChatGPT's 4.0 model for the generation. Importantly, it is a customized model that Microsoft has built specifically for Microsoft 365 Copilot, as they do with all of the products linked to Copilot. I mention that because it's image generation that is not exactly one-for-one for what ChatGPT does. Microsoft's done a lot to make certain items selectable, make it so it's more engaging and easier to customize. The text generation is significantly better from what I've seen versus what ChatGPT 4.0 does. And you're really able to take organizational brand assets is the key point there. You bundle them up as asset libraries. It's not in the little video. And what it'll do is it'll use those brand templates to create content. So it'll match your colors, it'll have the images you approve, it'll have any custom fonts that you want to use to generate that type of content. And then that's used to draft documents, it's used to create images, posters, convert to audio, things of that nature. So you really are taking your branding and your company and bringing it forward. And everything they do with that is creative copyright and common copyright protected, So it's not using images that are strictly prohibited to be used by AI. Copilot Notebooks is a big feature that a lot of clients are excited about. Me, myself, as I do a lot with Pages and Microsoft Loop. So for those who are unfamiliar with those products, they're similar to Notion to Microsoft, to Notion, excuse me, but they really is the Microsoft way with cross collaboration, multiplayer experiencing, native Copilot integration in that product suite. Importantly with notebooks is, as the name implies, it's a notebook for you. So you're able to add specific documents to the notebook. You're able to add specific pages, links to articles, links to internal materials, things of that nature. And now that notebook is supercharged. So you're able to ask Copilot in the notebook very targeted questions. You can have it generate specific data points. And what you're going to start to see as a theme in the next couple of slides is Microsoft is doing a lot with audio and visual, getting people disconnected from reading just the text, but doing stuff with audio playback, using your microphones to be able to interact directly with Copilot. If you're familiar with that on the consumer side of Copilot, it's a welcome experience because that's what I do every single day. But it really is making it so that you can ground information to a single source and then use that for further discovery. When it launches, or when you see it available to you in the Copilot app, the notebook will just be for you. Microsoft is experimenting with making it available so you can share notebooks, but that's not the intended experience today. So do know that notebooks are just for you. If you have Copilot Plus PCs, just to talk about the side very quickly, you do have the ability to turn on the feature called Click to Do. So that's using computer vision to do things that are on screen. It'll launch specifically with Microsoft Teams and being able to select items that are on they're being shared as a part of a presentation like this, and you're able to get summarization, ask for rewrites, things of that nature. That starts to roll out for Copilot Plus PCs only, and you need to be in the Windows Insider program. So if you're not a part of that or you don't have any users in there, you won't see this until this starts to get closer to public preview. A new agent that Microsoft is launching is called the People Skills Agent, or just Skills for short. Importantly with this is, as we all know in our organizations, a lot of information remains in people's heads. It is very true, not only for yours, but for mine. And with Skills, what it uses is information that is in the graph, as well as information that used to come from the product called Microsoft Delve, which has been broken up into a couple different subparts now. And uses that information in order to identify people that work in specific key areas. So for you larger organizations, 2,200 plus users, where, you're not sure who's working on a particular project, who's responsible for this compliance piece, things of that nature, the Skills agent will help identify that for end users and clear any gaps or find level setting there. And it uses various feeds from Copilot and Copilot Analytics. It uses stuff from the Profile Card, Organizational Explorer, the People Companion. All the Viva Suite products are folded in to hydrate it with information to identify talents and skills. And then with that, it really does help bring to light who should or who could be responsible for specific pieces. For those who are using Viva Goals, since that will be deprecated in December, this is expected to be partially a replacement for that. Some of that information is a little bit NDA, but I don't know how many people here are using Viva Goals, but I do want to highlight that. Additionally, if you are interested in using this, it's important that you start looking at how you have your users defined. So you do want to make sure you have job titles, departments, managers defined, office locations, things like that. The more information that you can provide Microsoft 365 Copilot and the Skills Agent, the better your overall results will be. In Copilot Pages, you'll see now a button to open up in Word. So if you're using that feature set and you've gotten closer to your final draft, instead of having to copy and paste it, losing formatting, things of that nature, they've added a quick access button to the top to just take that, open it up in Word, and make that now a document that you can continue to edit. There will be more apps added as a separate drop-down button, but they are looking for specifically feedback on that option for opening up in Word, and the other ones are expected to roll out closer to the end of Q3 if there is continual ask for that versus just opening up something in Word. Copilot Pages are finally coming to mobile, so if you're like me, again, use that all the time. It's great that you'll be able to see that. That, again, launches out in May. Importantly, if your end users don't have the updated version of Copilot on their desktop or on the web browser or in the mobile app, just let them know that they just need to be patient, that it will roll out. Microsoft does a slow roll when they do these big sweeping changes. So you, again, as I mentioned, you may have some users that have it. We have some tenants and some organizations that we manage that have these features or don't. So it's something that, again, Microsoft continues to roll out, and that's meant to prevent business disruption. Being able to generate audio cues is a big piece there, as I mentioned before. So you're able to generate audio overviews of documents. It's something I do today with an agent. Playing the audio. Cool. I don't know if everybody can hear that, but you're able to generate audio reviews is what I do today with the an agent that I built, but it being native to the platform significantly simplifies that. That starts to roll out in May. I'm going to just roll back so that stops. Thank you. Sorry. So that starts rollout for the desktop apps starting the end of June. But if you want to use it today, you can do that via the web. In the web, it's only available in English, and it'll be expanded to the other languages over time. Additionally, with that, you'll see that that'll come to additional apps as well. You'll also be able to generate audio overviews inside of Microsoft Teams for Teams meetings. So instead of you having to listen to all your stuff, you can go ahead and just in a speaker format generate those overviews. That's something that is rolling out closer to Q3 than it is today. So expect that in the next 2 or 3 months in order for that feature to be available. And also a thing to mention, snippet for everybody here that is interested in it. Microsoft is playing with generating video recaps of Teams meetings using Clipchamp is the product that they own that does the video editing inside of Teams, inside of Stream. So they're playing with that and offering up a video summary of Teams meetings of when there's content shared and things of that nature. Won't use people's faces. It'll just use what's shared on screen when generating that video overview. But those are expected to be anywhere between 30 seconds and 3 minutes worth of video clip. I've seen it in person. It's fantastic if you just want to watch a really quick video clip of what was presented, talking points, things of that nature. But it does obfuscate people's information. If you want to generate audio overviews of documents, it's in OneDrive. You have to do that in the OneDrive app, just to call that out. So in the OneDrive on the web. So if you're using OneDrive on the web, you're able to generate audio overviews of documents that are there. Again, web-only feature today will be rolled out later in closer to Q3 for the desktop experiences. Same thing with Outlook. Same experience. You're able to click content, generate audio overviews. You're able to do that with what's in the email, as well as any attachments that are directly in line. So if you're using the share function, like you should be doing, instead of attaching straight documents to emails, it'll be a native feature that, again, only available on the web today, but we'll be rolling out Q3 for the desktop experiences. Same with Copilot notebooks. Saw that before, so I'm just going to keep going. Prioritize my inbox with Copilot and Outlook. Everybody rejoice if that's a feature that you've been looking for. I've gotten a lot of questions about it, believe it or not. So that is a feature you can take advantage. It rolled out technically the very last day of April to the web. It folded into new Outlook starting the first week of May. So you should see that slowly, and it'll also be available on mobile apps. What Prioritize My Inbox is Copilot setting high priority, low priority on emails, and then you're able to customize what that is inside of Outlook. So you're able to change what is deemed high priority or low priority as it kind of goes through. You just go through the interactive experience to set that up. It's built into Outlook to be able to do that, and you'll get that feature. Importantly, something to mention here, because I do get this question a ton, so I'll answer it now. These features and all the new Copilot experiences are only available in new Outlook and Outlook on the web. If you're using Classic Outlook, it's not available for you. You do need to be using new Outlook for that to function. Importantly, Classic Outlook will be deprecated at some point in 2026. Exact dates are not determined, is the word I'll use. So do keep in mind, if you're still using Classic Outlook, you do want to start moving your organization to new Outlook. I think I've mentioned it on almost every one of these webinars, but it's something you do want to do. If you are a client of ours, you can work with your service team to get any plugins that you have moved over to the new manifest file configuration. If those vendors have it, they're all supposed to have it in the next couple of months, but it is something that will happen, and it's something you should be mindful of. With that, Microsoft is adding a more streamlined way to get content into documents. If you're using Copilot Chat, whether you want to get images or photos directly from Word or Excel without having to email or download. You can just simply use the app now to do it. You can even do it where you generate a QR code to scan, and it'll automatically pull the image for you. This started rolling out in April for the desktop experience, but it's folding into the mobile experience as well. So you're able to generate a QR code, start scanning, upload all your images in one go instead of the classic take 15 pictures, email it to myself, or make sure it's going into OneDrive or something like that. You can it's a simpler experience overall for that. Whew. So multilingual support in Teams is great. It's something that I watched it do in person, which was awesome. So it's able to now, the meeting organizers just enable the multilingual speech recognition feature. And what will happen is as people speak different languages, the transcription that's presented will be in the native language of the organizer or the person that's reviewing it on their end. So if you have someone who speaks Spanish, that transcription is normally in Spanish, someone who speaks German, etc. It'll be automatically converted into your language that is set up in your Outlook. It's technically a preview product, so you do need to be in preview with Microsoft Teams in order to get the feature set and early access. So a little bit of an asterisk there if it's a feature that you want to have turned on. But if you're interested, again, feel free to reach out. We can talk through what that looks like to get that feature enabled for review. It'll also do that for intelligent recaps for those meetings as well for the selected language, so you can convert meetings to different languages as well. This rolled out in April, but Copilot does have the ability to see content that is being shared on screen like this inside of Teams. So when you are in Teams and you're using Copilot and you're asking for a recap, it'll use screenshots from the content that was being shared if it was a presentation today and put that automatically in the recap that you see kind of scrolling on the right there in the video clip. So it's great. It'll also use that when you ask specific questions. So if you ask, what did I miss in this meeting? Or tell me what Jan said about this topic, it'll also present the user with that slide so they can understand more what was going on. Again, today it is limited to just doing it with PowerPoint, but it will be expanded to other screen sharing experiences as an opt-in feature set that is preview today for PowerPoint. If you're interested in doing it with other apps, there's a private preview you can enroll in that you can enroll in. So you may have seen this experience change, or if you're just someone who is like me and you generate a ton of documents for people that don't know how to use Copilot, they've now expanded how you can draft and do document creation with Word inside of with Copilot inside of Word. So you're able to now include a folder if it's in a document library, so it's SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, and it'll use up to 20 individual files, and all those files can have up to 1.5 million words and or about 3,000 pages per file, and use that as reference. That's only available today on the web. It starts to roll out Q3 for desktops and Macs. So if you're someone who has a bunch of stuff in a folder and you just want to ask a question or generate content from that, you could do that today with Word specifically and generate that. Talk more about Word is you will see this experience change, which I find more welcoming because there are sometimes I want a bit more expansion on the content that it generates. So inside of Word, when you open up a document, there'll be a section to generate summaries, insights, activities, discussions, and coaching, basically the key feature set of what Copilot has, and it will give you that information kind of as a part of the document. So important piece there is it's not something where you have to fish through the get. It's just a timeline there, and it'll show you activity as in who's done comments, who's been editing, things of that nature, and giving you AI summarization on that. Importantly, with the summarizations is you have the option to customize that. So if you're someone who just wants quick, short blurbs of summarizations when you are looking at documents, you can set that. If you want real detailed, extensive report, you can do that when you generate that, and it'll go from there. So the summary tab for Word on the web, Windows, and Mac, and insights for Word on the web started to roll out the end of April. By the end of May, you'll see the activity and discussions tab for Word on the web. You'll get coaching and insights by July. And then for Windows and Mac, for the Word and desktop apps, by the end of July, you'll get this experience in the desktop app. And then the discussion tab will come at the end of August. So big kind of updates to Word and its ability to view content. Another big win, at least for me, is, and as I'm getting old and my fingers don't work as well due to carpal tunnel, you're able to, again, use natural language to interact with Copilot, chit chat, and do that directly inside of Word now on the mobile app, so you don't have to sit there and type your prompt or do anything like that. I'm familiar with this already, again, on the consumer side, so I'm glad to see this roll into the enterprise product, just because it is very welcome and it works great. It rolled out technically in April. If you're on preview, end of May if you're not, and that supports most languages today. It's only 36 of the full 47 that are supported by Copilot. Everyone wants it, so you got it. If you wanted AI spelling and grammar checks, that rolled out for the web starting in May. We'll reach desktop apps again by Q3. So if you want that, there you go. Table creation in Copilot for Excel is something that is rolling out. Technically, it rolled out again end of April. You should see that change by now if you're on current channel. If you're on monthly enterprise, you'll see at the end of May, or I guess technically we're at the end of May. So it's a really easy way for those who are like me and don't normally do anything inside of Excel, be able to do sentiment analysis, do better visualizations, help with larger data sets because they've expanded its ability to call it out. If you are someone who uses Excel day to day, you likely are not using Copilot in Excel as extensively as people who are not as familiar with the product, and it's not. You may not find it as useful, but for people who, like me, again, don't use it day to day, it's huge improvements to be able to make better use of my time when using an app I don't regularly use. It has expanded data set capability, so it can do larger formats. But again, with Excel, you do need to format your sheets as tables. It's a big still requirement. You can't just have stuff all over the place and have Copilot understand that. That's just here's structured format, here's unstructured, and AI works best with unstructured. So in tables, you have to play around with that. Again, it still does require you to actually format it as a table in Excel in order for it to function. As I mentioned with that, you can actually use Copilot now to just create the table for you. It'll automatically format it for you, create the headers, and put content in there if you have relevant information. It'll also generate headers, formulas, visuals, templates, things like that. So it's able to generate that, and then you're able to go through with that. That technically rolled out on the web in March, and will be rolling to the desktop experience starting the end of this month or the beginning of June. Whew, halfway there. I use PowerPoint a lot, if you couldn't tell from my big, beautiful presentations. But they've added a lot of feature capabilities to being able to generate content. You are able to generate PowerPoint presentations from documents, but now you're able to generate single slides from Word documents. So if you wanted to create a tailored slide from a specific set of information, it's available on the web. It'll be available for desktop again in June, but you're able to generate just a single slide, which is great, instead of generating an entire new presentation with a single source of content. There are new design suggestions. That's Microsoft rolling in a lot of the feature sets that come from the new modeling with 4.0 and what they've done with Designer and with Visual Creator and the Create feature set. So you're able to do that. It'll also do slide or start options will be there. So you're able to kind of pick and choose from there. It's a much simpler experience. It's a lot quicker than it used to be. And it's a lot more presentable than it used to be. So it is a welcome change, at least for me. Branded templates are available if you have organizational asset libraries set up. That's what it'll use. If you set up asset libraries with the new Copilot Create feature set, it'll use that as well. So you can combine kind of the two and create much more on-branded drafts and on-branded templates. In there as well, you'll see as a part of that is you have the option to use some of the Microsoft generated ones. So you can do that if you don't have an organizational asset library, but I always encourage everybody to do so that users are creating content with AI that is branded appropriately. And then you don't have to fumble around with using, again, fonts, colors, images, and things of that nature. It rolled out in May, again, for the web, and will be folded into the desktop experience shortly. More of the same. If you, again, are like me and use PowerPoint a lot, you're able to do PDFs now, which is great. The narrative builder experience has been enhanced, so it makes it a lot easier to do that. And you're able to now to edit text and adjust what is in the text part on a presentation without, again, having to regenerate an entire slide or use Designer to figure out something else. You're able to just pick apart, use Copilot to adjust it and get moving instead of the old kind of roundabout way. Last but not least, I mentioned there being the feature for automatic summarization in Word that has come to PowerPoint as well. So that's going to be there, and then it will have cross-platform capability. Planned rollout was by the end of May. I think it got delayed until June, so that'll be that experience there. So before I keep going to the next section, I know there's a couple questions, so I'll just answer them real quick. So Paul mentions, this is, I am subscribed to Microsoft Office, which I use on my Mac. I don't immediately see any of these in my apps. Do not upgrade my subscription. Paul, you need to have Microsoft 365 Copilot in order to use the features that I'm mentioning here. If you're using Microsoft Office tied to a tenant or to a Microsoft 365 subscription, you need also the Microsoft 365 Copilot license. That is $30 per user per month, but it's an annual payment, annual subscription, so it's $360 per user per month. If you're talking on the consumer side, you can talk about that separately to not create mass confusion, but everything I'm showing off is geared towards the enterprise version of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And then, John, you mentioned, is there a specific Office release schedule that we need to be on to get any of the new features as fast as possible? Great question. The answer to that is, how crazy do you want to be? So I'm in preview for all of my Office products, including Microsoft Teams. So you do need to be in preview in a couple of areas to get things kind of as they roll out, but that doesn't guarantee you're going to get them. As I mentioned, I'm in preview for Microsoft 365 Copilot, and I don't have the new app experience yet, but I'm in preview for Office, Teams, and Windows. So depending on how painful you want to be with yourself or the end users, you can kind of layer in how quickly you could potentially get them. But Microsoft chooses tenants at random. They choose end users in tenants at random to make it more so that it, again, is less business impactful. If you want the latest Copilot features to be available without being in preview, you need to have Office upgrade channel set to be current channel, and then do the same thing for Microsoft Teams. That'll get you things as they roll out for either public preview or general availability. If you want to be in the Frontier program, we'll talk about that in a couple moments, but that's an option. And then you also can do stuff in beta release. But again, beta is beta as it sounds. Today, my PowerPoint is working, but sometimes I do screen shares and it's green and I need to restart. So do keep in mind, when you start getting past current channel, you may run into day-to-day woes, and that may not be something you're willing to undertake as a business, especially if you have Excel plugins or other plugins in Office apps that are very version sensitive, because they don't always play nice with public preview stuff. All right, so let's talk. These next few slides are very short, thankfully. So for those who've been paying attention, perfect. Now comes the speed round. So Microsoft is doing a lot with Copilot Studio, the control system. We're going to talk about that quickly for those that are interested in that and getting enrolled into that. So they've expanded availability of the Copilot Academy. This is important for customers that are GDPR compliant. You have other governing bodies that require you to provide training for your users for using AI products. Microsoft's made that simpler. So if you want to restrict the ability for people to use any other product but Copilot, you can provide targeted training to them via the Copilot Academy. That's now included for all users, whether you're licensed for just Microsoft 365 Copilot or your license for Microsoft 365 Copilot, the paid license. Microsoft is messing with the wording. So there's the one that's included with Entra, and then there's the one that you pay for. So they're adding it now to the one that's included with your Entra licensing. It's a much shorter self-paced learning course. Admin users can assign people to it. So if you want to say you want to use AI, you need to take these courses. You can track it, you can view it. It doesn't require you to purchase a Viva Learning subscription. So that's a great welcome to clients that want to be more compliant with their end user training. Additionally, you're able to measure more now, which is great, around adoption and insights around usage of AI. So they've really expanded its ability to report on how agents are being used, where they're being used, assisted, rough estimate of how many hours you're saving with agents that you're building or that users are using themselves. You're able to get summarization on general metrics, enable the feedback loops to go directly to you. So if you're building agents for your organization and publishing them instead of the feedback going to Microsoft or to nowhere, you're able to actually funnel them to the creators of the agents to make changes. So they're significantly enhancing that. A lot of the reporting came preview end of April, started GA rollout this week. So you should see those added capabilities in the portal there as well. And then you are able to upload business metrics, if that's something that you're doing by taking that part from the Microsoft portal and using that material to generate user adoption and user usage reporting, it will fold that into that as well and give you better metrics. Additionally to that, you'll get AI adoption score. It'll give you peer benchmarking, so organizations similar size, similar sector, things of that nature, so you can see how you're comparing yourselves to others. You're able to get more usage insights on resourcing, and then you are able now, with organizational messaging, promote Copilot features. It's something that I've been playing with internally here at ECI to drive more user adoption. That's coming out a little bit later in June. For those who are unfamiliar with organizational messages, it's exactly as it sounds. You're able to push organizational wide messages to the entire organization. You can push them to Intune enroll devices. You can push it in your Office apps. You can make it appear on your Windows desktops or in the lock screen. So you're able to communicate with the business with cards. You do need to make sure that you have that feature set turned on to function, because it uses spotlight features. And I know that in some NIST and CIS controls, they had that blocked, but now that is a recommended feature to turn on, so you could do organizational messaging. But if you're interested in talking about that in detail, feel free to reach out. We can talk through that if you're interested. Lastly, they're doing a lot more with the Copilot chat usage reporting. So you're able to get more scope down, you're able to get better adoption metrics, and you're able to see users using additional apps with Copilot. So you'll be able to now see agent usage using third-party apps and those experiences and that nature. That started rollout last week. So you should see those enhanced reports available if you're in IT or you're a business decision maker and you want to look at how it's affecting your business. All right, so what I would say is, if you can reach out, we can connect separately to help you with that and what you're doing with consumer versions of Office, because you do want to be sure you're in using one that's tied to a Microsoft 365 tenant, or you're subscribed to Copilot Pro. So let's talk about agents and reasoning, because that's one that everybody wants to chat about. Something that Microsoft is working to roll out. I think this is going to happen next week, not this week. So apologies for it saying roll out in May, but it should be, if it's not tomorrow, it'll be next week. Is bringing bringing SharePoint agents that you're building in SharePoint over into the Microsoft 365 Copilot experience. So if you're an organization that's been using agents in SharePoint, building agents on top of the libraries, on top of the sites, and letting users build and design there, you can have them come across the extensibility layer and make them available via Copilot chat, which is great. I do want to mention an important change. If you're using Copilot agents today, that will cease to function starting the end of this month. What I mean by that is, if you're not using a metered subscription for those, or users are not licensed for Microsoft 365 Copilot, they will no longer be able to create agents or interact with the agents that they have there. Microsoft did a sneaky a couple of months ago and gave every tenant a trial license for agents in SharePoint. So if you were using them, or unbeknownst to you, you can do e-discovery content searches to find agents that are in SharePoint and remove them if you don't want them. You can also see them in the AI reporting if you wish. But if you have users that have been using agents in SharePoint, unbeknownst to you or not, it will stop functioning if they're not licensed appropriately, or you don't have, again, a metered subscription for SharePoint agents. That being said, Microsoft is working to bridge the gap. So if you're paying for Copilot Studio licensing, they're looking to make that so that you can use that metered message rate instead of paid credits for SharePoint agents, to keep this very simple. So if you're interested or you need more information on that, again, feel free to reach out, because it is something that will cease to function on Sunday. So do keep that in mind if you have that going. You're able to do now a lot with the project manager agent in Planner. It's something that we've been playing with for a couple of weeks now when it became available in private preview. So it is an agent that lives inside of Microsoft Planner, and you're able to assign it tasks. It's able to create updates and plans and generate content, help you with key milestones, keep you up to date on tasks. Importantly, in the coming weeks, it'll be able to interact with the facilitator agent, which I'll talk about in a few moments as well. That's inside of Microsoft Teams. So you'll be able to hand off, here's the notes from a Teams meeting that happened in a channel that reoccurs for a project, pass it to the project manager, and now you're able to say, here's a task from the meeting, planner agent assign that task and create it automatically. So really letting the agentic experience happen, let declarative agents do their job natively without having to have us build an agent or you build them yourselves, which is a great lift on my part. So I don't have to spend cycles building agents for something that Microsoft is building in. So it's something that'll happen there. If you want to use this experience today, an easy way to check to see if you have this available is today inside Microsoft Teams, open up Planner, and in there create a new plan. You should see an option to create a planner with the project manager agent. If you don't see that, it just hasn't reached your tenant yet. Be patient. You should see that in the next couple of weeks at the latest. Microsoft has rolled out their own agent store. Really, it's just what was inside of the Copilot app before, where you clicked on Get Agents, it took you to Teams. Now it's just taking you to a more tailored experience. That starts to roll out in the end. Well, it was the end of this month, but it'll be the beginning of next month as well. So you'll see that change when users get updated experience for the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. Reasoning agents are now available via Frontier. So a lot of clients had a lot of questions about the researcher and the analyst agents. I get questions about those more times than anything else, largely because it's deep research and analyst that is coming from ChatGPT, but is grounded in content that exists in your organization. To talk about the Frontier program, to keep this very short, the process to getting in the Frontier program, if you want to be on the bleeding edge, is still very much the same. You need a Microsoft rep to elevate you to be in the Frontier program, delegate you as available, then you need to be selected, and then from there you have to sign NDAs and be a part of a continual feedback loop with Microsoft on Frontier products. So that is something where I've seen people get kicked out of that program because they're not providing feedback and working with Microsoft closely on what they're doing under Frontier. So if you're interested in getting in Frontier, you can reach out, we can talk about it. But that being said, researcher and analyst are available today. Whether you have the new Microsoft 365 Copilot app or not, you can go click Get an Agent and get researcher and analyst, provided you don't have agents disabled in your organization. If you have agents disabled, you will not get these. You will not be available. You cannot publish them. You need to have agents available to end users in order to add these or make them approved for usage. In the new admin experience, you can control who can get the agents. So if you want to restrict who can use Frontier agents or use specific agents, you can do that in the admin center. But these agents are available today. You add them like any other agent, and you'll see that there's Frontier in brackets next to it. To talk about what the Frontier program is it's Microsoft's way of rolling out features that are not necessarily beta, not necessarily alpha, somewhere kind of in between where they're looking for feedback. They want people's experiences with it. So you'll see that when you use these, it will ask you to provide feedback to Microsoft on that. So you do want to be aware of that. You can turn off Microsoft suggested feedbacks in the admin center if you wish, but do know that may affect availability and meter rates available to you for these agents. A lot of stuff I'm throwing at you. If there's any questions, again, you can feel free to reach out and we can talk about it in more detail. Today, using the agents while they're in Frontier, don't use any message rate, don't require additional subscriptions or licensing. You can use them just as any other agent. That may change as they come out of Frontier, but that's the option there. Do know, though, that while in products that are available to you from Frontier, they may not go into production, or they may change name or change rate. Good example of that is Project Sophia. That's getting a facelift and will go generally available soon as a separate product for those who are familiar with me talking about that product. But these agents, again, they are available. Asterisks with Frontier. If you want more information on that, feel free to let me know. We're on a roll now, so let's see. What other questions we got? John. So new features, John, to answer your question, the question is when new features roll out in June, will they automatically be turned on? Do you need to be enabled in the admin center? It would be nice to see a chart of features that are auto-enabled, the ones that need to be manually enabled. If you do not make any changes to Copilot availability to yourself or to end users, as products become public preview or generally available, they will just roll out. There's nothing where you have to go and turn on. That's how Microsoft does the rollout with Copilot. So as features become available, you will get them. So there's nothing extra you need to do unless you get a notice from Microsoft saying you need to action this and if you want this, which has yet to happen with Copilot to call that out. So let's talk about the control system. This is a very short slide that covers a lot of the changes. I'm going to talk about these specific pieces really quickly. If you're interested in talking more about any of these specifics, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to talk to them, and we can go through that. Thankfully, in the DPSM for AI, which you should all have enabled and do regular review of Copilot interactions, is you'll be able to see agent interaction in there now. Instead of it just being users, you'll see agents and apps, how they're interacting, how people are chatting with them, what integrations they have, are they hitting DOP policies, do they meet data compliance regulations, things of that nature. You can go through here, block access to that agent, or block access to data sources to that agent to review them. So it's a great add to see from Microsoft so that agents aren't going hog wild. That's been a very common complaint is you can create agents in 7 places, but there's very limited admin overview of that. That's now changed. This is a new role in Purview. So if you don't see this, you need to add the new role and you can reach out. We could talk about that. Message consumption reporting. This more goes into if you're using SharePoint agents or you're using the SharePoint, the Copilot Studio license or pay-as-you-go agents. So if you're using any of those options, you want to see message usage over time, how many messages is available to you, things like that. That's now available as a report. So if you're having to run a Power BI graph query, if you set up that monstrosity of a report for just message rates. Same thing, agent usage reports are available. That is public preview starting next week. So you'll be able to see that. So they'll give you total active users, segmentation on licenses and unlicensed users, who's active, who's not, and then you'll be able to see agent versus user level details in there as well. So you'll see who's using what agents, where they live, things of that nature. As the Power Platform recommendation is something that we don't talk very much about with a lot of clients unless you're at a certain size. But if you're interested to know more about Power Platform stuff, again, feel free to reach out. I can talk about that for about an hour. But that affects a lot of what happens in Copilot to keep that short. There's a new report available for agents. It'll measure ROI. It'll give you business impact, things of that nature. I mentioned that very shortly, very beginning. That's in public preview today, so you're able to see that if you are interested. Starts technically next week, but some of the metrics are available in the other report. You are able to get agent inventory, as I mentioned before. Again, it's targeted for the end of this week. I think it got pushed to next week, just as there were some things that came off of Microsoft Build that needed to be adjusted due to issues. But this is something that you'll be able to see. So you'll see agents and connectors. If you go into the portal to turn on or make changes to the analyst or the researcher agent, you may already see this experience. So if you do, you got it. If you don't, you should get it the next couple of weeks at the latest. Agent management, it says Q3 of calendar year 2025. What they mean by that is it should be available by the beginning of July. So you are able to make a lot more, you'll have a lot more agent control in the control plane without having to do a lot of the Power Platform stuff I vaguely mentioned before. So I'm glad to see Microsoft making those changes. And then last but not least, shared agents and inventorying for that. You're able to get reports on that. And then you are able to today, if you wanted to go into the portal and block specific agents from being used until you do review or things of that nature. So if people are creating agents, you don't want them to, or so you get a report of an agent responding to stuff that's not accurate or incorrect. You're able to do that today. Before, you used to have to use PowerShell to do this, but I'm glad that they've brought that into the GUI to make management a lot simpler. Whew. So to keep rolling here on adoption, for those interested in adoption, they have added now the new redesign to the scenario library. I'm sorry for that glitch on the screen. This is a PowerPoint live presentation. Probably should have said that a long time ago. So any links you have here, you can click today if you wanted. Otherwise, you can wait for the copy of the presentation. But Microsoft's done a lot with the scenario library. So if you're interested in helping drive usage, help with business use case adoption, things of that nature, you can use those resources to do so. There is now the Great Journey specifically for just the chat aspect. So I've done the Copilot Great Journey here at ECI twice now. One while this was in preview, and then one for the overall app experience. It does drive end user adoption and bring that usage up. Do know that they are long journeys, so you're looking at about 6 weeks worth of email and engagement. So if you're interested in doing that yourself, feel free, or we do that as a part of our Copilot enablement program for clients that are interested in doing the Great Journey, and we can talk more about that in that regard there too. So let's talk about the release notes. I'll leave this slide on for those who want to click on the link there for the release notes that's on the top there. That link will take you to the site that gives you all the information on what changes on a weekly cadence with Microsoft 365 Copilot. So if you take anything away from me talking at you for an hour, it's that link. And then what's on screen now is a big part of what has changed across a lot of the app experiences. And you should expect these to have already rolled out to a degree. That does say April 2025. That's just because Microsoft does a lot of the publishing 1 month in the rear. So a lot of these changes rolled out in May. That's just how Microsoft does stuff. We all know that their calendar year also ended the beginning of the month. So, but a lot of things you see in here is stuff that we've talked about. Some of it doesn't matter, but you're able to do longer prompts now. You're able to get enhanced insights on emails. For Excel, you get the graph grounded chat is there, so you're able to ground that chat with specific content. You also can do read aloud in Excel, something I didn't have a slide on. The Admin Center covered all the pieces there. In SharePoint, they've now done enhancements to restricted access control and RSG, restricted content groups. So you do have a lot of flexibility in that. And there is enhancements to Copilot in authoring pages. So if you're using Copilot to create SharePoint sites for your intranet, there's expanded capabilities there, and you're able to do a lot from that regard. There's a lot of changes in Purview, not only just for GCC, but for standard Microsoft Purview that I didn't cover here today. But if you're interested in looking at those features or turning on a lot of the DOP and content and classification controls, reach out. We can help you with that. OneNote is getting its small changes with how Copilot can generate content. We talked about Outlook. Inside of Word, coaching is there, able to reference folders, as I mentioned. You're able to narrate to Copilot on iOS. That'll come to Android in a bit. You also can do visualizations of tables in iOS. So if you're someone who uses the mobile apps, you have your iPad Pro and you do side by side, it's a great addition there. Or if you're like me and you have a Mac Mini just hanging out, you can get those features there as well. Copilot Studio has had enhancements on SharePoint URL support, being able to do different public site scoping for agents, adjusting knowledge base, things of that nature. Great changes there for building your own agents. They'll be in the release notes as well. And then last couple, extensibility layer has been a lot more enhanced. You can do API key auth for declarative agents that you're building both in Copilot Studio via code or via AI Foundry. So if you're connecting those, you can do API key handovers. That just helps you with your message rate. So you do want to be mindful though of how you're doing authentication on both of those. And then you're able to discover agents as well that are unlicensed and have metered costs. I recommend doing that for those who are worried about SharePoint agents or people just creating agents out in the wild. And then from a PowerPoint perspective, it's a lot of everything that we've covered. One thing I didn't cover was being able to translate. So if you have a presentation that is in English, you want it in Japanese, you can have Copilot generate a translation. It'll create an entirely new presentation with that content on it, so you don't replace the existing. That being said, I do want to thank everybody for those who are in the Q&A asking for my contact information. It's on screen now. Again, snap the QR code, go to my LinkedIn profile if you want to connect there, or email address is on screen, and you're able to connect that way as well. Happy to chat about your experiences, what's going on with Copilot, where you're failing, where we can help. I was at a couple of conferences already this year and talking with a lot of people that are building all sorts of agents in every flavor under the sun, and helping them with kind of the pitfalls and shortcomings of some of the experiences they're having was fun, and we all learn together when we talk about it. So again, thanks everybody for their time. Jen, I don't know if you have any closing remarks.
I do not. I was just going to hang out and wait and see if we had any last minute questions from anyone. I do appreciate you sharing your contact info, Julius. I know we'd probably be flooded with emails after this.
It's real dangerous.
Just so anyone is aware, we are hoping to do this on a monthly cadence, so please pay attention for invites forthcoming. Sometimes it's easier to have these kind of collaborative sessions than one-off question and answers. But with that said, if there are no other questions, Julius, we'll let you get back to work.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'll hang out here with you for a couple minutes for those who want to hang out. And then, yeah, if not, you're rolling.
Excellent. Looks like we just have praise for all of your help. Folks are.
Yep, Umar, yes, there'll be a copy of this presentation along with the notes from the speaker notes. You'll get the intelligent recap from this meeting.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. All right, Julius, I think we're good. We will share, as Julius said, the presentation as well as the notes in the days to come. They will be in your email. And additionally, we will also have one of these sessions next month. Julius, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coordinating. Everyone enjoy.
Thank you so much.